I do bad things sometimes. I mean, honestly, we're all human here. We can all be frank unless that isn't our name, and then that means we're assuming someone else's identity, and that's a crime. We shouldn't commit crimes, which is a bad thing. And some of us have done one bad thing during the course of our life. Some of us have done two, three, four, five, getting a little bit out of hand. And when it comes to certain people, some have done many, many, many upon many multitudes of bad things during the course of their life. Bad Things is a Shudder original written and directed by Stuart Thorndike, who's done shorts as well as a film called Lyle. This stars Gail Rankin, Hari Neff, Annabelle Dexter-Jones, Rad Pereira, Jared Abrahamson, and Molly Ringwald herself. And this takes place in a hotel that Ruthie, played by Gail, inherits from her grandmother. And let's just say this family tree is a little bit steeped in tragedy, shall we say. So steep that it's going just goddamn down a fucking cliff, heading into a fucking ravine. But nevertheless, Ruthie is a bit troubled. But she is waffling back and forth about whether she wants to sell the place or keep the place going. And then you have Cal, played by Hari Neff, who fucking loved her in Assassination Nation. She was in Barbie. So happy for Hari Neff getting more roles. And then there are two others. And it's a very LGBTQ influence, themed idea, taking a few things from The Shining. Okay, a lot of things from The Shining, including the pans down the hallway and all that and everything. But LGBTQ influence horror. Good. Okay, that's something that should be dived into more. Fran and Maddie are together, but there's tension with the respective relationships. And that's putting it mildly. We see that unfold as time goes on. Brian, played by Jared, he's somebody that has worked with the mom, and he's worked around the hotel and stuff like that. Basically, this hotel is a bit of a fixer-upper. It's still in pretty good shape, but honestly, the best thing would be to sell it. Why is that? Well, certain bad things have happened here, hence the title Bad Things, like, deaths. And even though it, as the movie states in the, near the beginning, 5 deaths in 30 years, okay, maybe not necessarily the highest count, but you probably don't want a death to occur in or around the grounds of your hotel. Not really good for business. And then from there, we get, the four individuals partying, having fun, sharing secrets and everything. They're telling secrets, honey. What? Can I help you? MST3K. And then we find out more about the respective relationships, friendships among these four. Is there really a kinship, or are they just four individuals that just happen to know each other, and then things slowly unravel? And is this hotel really haunted? Is it all in their head? Are they happy? Are they feeling bad? Do they got sunshine in a bag? Are they useless? Not for long. The hotel theme keeps going on. So yeah, I was excited to see this, mainly because Hari Neff and also LGBTQ themed horror. Always happy to see that. And I like The Shining. Even though I fully recognize that Stanley Kubrick was a goddamn nut job. But taking inspiration from The Shining, this is not the first movie to do that. That's a good idea. The problem, or at least one of the, few problems this movie has, is tonally inconsistent. Like, they try to have it, go a few different ways and everything, and the haunting imagery really doesn't necessarily work. The movie lacked stakes, and the movie needed to lean into the camp more. Had this movie been full on camp, and I'm not saying you can't treat stuff seriously, you really should have just gone full camp, in my personal opinion. I'm not telling people not to watch this. I did not like this, and that was disappointing. As the film went on, I found myself liking it less and less and less, to the point that it was starting to grate on me, because the character motivations seemed like, every character sustained a couple head injuries before, during each, 10-minute interval. And it was really, really weird, because you would have thought that everybody would have known, hey, we need to leave. Now, obviously, the motivations come up as to why they, why they're locked into this hotel, basically, or why they're stuck there, and what's actually going on. Who actually is the culprit here. The problem is the movie just doesn't, it's not horrifying. There are a few moments where it's like, okay, this film's starting to come alive, and then it pulls back. It's just a mess, a tonal mess. I got what they were trying to do, But to me, this overall did not work. I really don't think that this worked as well as they wanted to. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not saying don't watch it. I look forward to what else Stuart Thorndike can do. I like the cast. I just thought there wasn't enough to this, basically, to make it a full-length feature. I think had this been part of a, horror anthology at about 40 minutes, it might have worked better. Too much of it felt stretched out. It was kind of an homage to, The Shining and other horror movies of, like, the 70s and 80s, but I don't think they work necessarily as well as they expected. So that's just my personal opinion right there. I am going to get into spoilers, even though the spoilers really aren't going to take very long. But it is on Shudder if you want to check it out. Shudder is a great streaming service. A few bucks a month. No, I'm not sponsored. Don't need to be sponsored. They're just really good. But Molly Ringwald, I would and you would too. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, in all seriousness, this movie this didn't work. This really didn't work. You have... They try to lead one way with one character possibly being the culprit, and then it's obvious who the actual culprit is, because Ruthie keeps waffling back and forth. Fran starts seeing ghosts first, including a couple joggers that died on the hotel grounds. Then she sees a lobby full of ghosts, all this weird shit's going on. Ruthie's mom, she doesn't have the best relationship with her. Mostly there's something implied that since the mom, the family ran the hotel and stuff like that, that Ruthie was left at one point and got frostbite and nearly lost 3 fingers. It might have psychologically damaged her, or maybe the kid was always psychologically damaged. The mother knew that. And the grandmother died through whatever circumstances, probably due to age, maybe possibly due to the fact that the grandma was like, honey, I'm going to go and leave you this hotel because I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. The problem is anytime it shows the ghost, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, we're not going to lean into that. We're going to go back to the serious stuff. This movie needed to be more camp, and it really should have been. Molly Ringwald as Miss Auerbach, she's giving some inspirational stuff, like on YouTube or some social media platform they can't mention, where it's like, claim your future, exercise your past. And if you want to stay with Cal, you need to make it last, because this hotel will waste your time, and it will definitely fry your mind. Tell you what you want, what you really, really want. Okay, enough of that. I don't feel right here. I never have. Ruthie, says that Cal insisted on bringing her here because Cal wanted to make it a fixer-upper, work on this thing and everything. It had a full kitchen and it had a lot of food there. And they were stranded there because they took an Uber. Instead of taking their own goddamn car, they decided to do that. Now, in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. Ruthie, at one point, cuts a tree to get it off the road so this car can go, and take them to the rest of the way of the hotel. That's a bit of a deal for later. And Molly basically says this isn't going to work. Like, talking about, like, oh, Ruthie Todd, this is not going to work. What you're doing is not going to work. This isn't going to work. Really should have been the theme for this movie. And I appreciate the effort. Do not misunderstand. I am not saying do not watch this movie. I'm not saying that I really did not care for how inconsistent it was. Now, nevertheless, Fran suffers a cut on her leg. Her and Ruthie get together. There's this cheating thing where Cal has forgiven Ruthie before. And obviously, if you forgive somebody when they cheat once, and some people learn, some people don't, some people will keep doing it and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Fran wanted to leave. She wanted to leave because she felt that Ruthie needed to get away from the goddamn thing. Fran goes insane, sort of, kind of, maybe. There's an implication that Fran is doing this stuff for attention because she recently beat a cancer diagnosis that may or may not have been true, according to Maddie, her significant other. They take Fran to the train station and just leave her. And then they all go back and party. Now, they tried to take her to the hospital, they said, but she didn't want to go. And then that Brian guy is back after showing up a little bit earlier on. And then he sees somebody just sitting there with a CPAP mask that was Ruthie's. And what the hell's going on here? Somebody's just there with a CPAP mask and a hoodie and a chainsaw. And I was like, yes, more of this. More of just being goofy. And then he gets chainsawed. And we go away from that. And then they're like, we need to leave. Well, Ruthie's like, we need to leave. We need to do all this stuff. Everybody's like this, but then they go back to sleep. The fuck? And then they think, and then Ruthie's like, Fran's back. Fran's come back to kill us. This just gets wild and uncontrollable and unfocused. And Ruthie basically, when they're going to leave, she blames Cal for the facts like, you're making me cheat, this kind of stuff, which that's not a healthy relationship at all. And then Molly Ringwald shows up, who just fucking Christ, she looks great. I mean, I'm not saying that she obviously wouldn't look great still. She's goddamn, she's barely aged. There's a meeting thing, kind of like the bar scene from The Shining. Or other stuff or whatever. Thankfully, no shower thing. Well, there is a shower thing a little bit later on, but with no dead body. And Ruthie doesn't want to sell it all of a sudden. The other lawyers that may or may not actually be real are pissed. And Maddie thinks that it's Ruthie. And she turns out to be right. Ruthie is completely insane. I told you I didn't feel right here, she says to Cal. How dare you? What the hell's going on? I'm going to get you. So, yeah, Fran comes back before this. And then Cal hits Fran because she's like, what the hell's going on? Cal's like, oh, Fran's doing it. But then Fran gets pushed out the window and has her head damaged after getting hit in the head with a sign before, and then falls into the empty pool and dies. But then, yeah, Ruthie's the one that's all fucked up. She hacks Maddie and... hacks Maddie and Cal to pieces. Sorry, I don't know why the names escape me. And no one sees this because it's outside the hotel in front of a strip mall area. Maybe they're all dead already. And then Molly Ringwald is watching a guy dance, and Molly Ringwald's on a hotel bed. I'm just going to say, Molly Ringwald, boy howdy. Yeah, it was basically that Ruthie was insane. And that maybe Molly Ringwald was her mom. Again, I'm not saying don't watch it, but I'm going to have to give it an F. I did not enjoy this. I did not really care for this. That's just my opinion. If I miss stuff in this, if I miss if I miss stuff underneath, I would love to be corrected in the comments. This didn't click for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.